Hello, everyone. I am Torri Maurer, and this is my presentation for my future goals as an educational studies major. Um, just to let you know ahead of time, we are fostering a couple doggies right now, so I'm sorry if you hear a lot of barking. That's them. They're actually here right now. Quickly meet Dolly and Bandit. Okay, now let's get into it. All right, so like I said before, my name is Torri Maurer. I'm an educational studies major, and I am projected to graduate in spring of 2027. And I really want to, after graduating, go into a career in outdoor education. And I wanted to kind of talk about like a couple of the strengths that I have and pursuing success in the career by applying those strengths. Um, so with my skills, I have experience in outdoor activities, whether it be with hiking, camping, climbing, and also I have informal educational experience. So what I mean by that is I never went to camps as a kid, but I still wanted to get that experience, even though I never had it as a kid. So at my old job as a lifeguard, I was a lifeguard instructor as well as a head of the junior lifeguard camp that was happening at the pool every summer. So I did that for about 6 or 7 years. And that really opened up my eyes to going into these informal educational experiences and environments for children. And then my appeals is, again, I love working with children. I also want to give them that fulfilling experience. And with that fulfilling experience, I want to also share my passions. So possibly my future students will find those same passions that I found through an easier resource rather than just going right into it and teaching yourself. Um, that's what I'm there to do in my future career. And I also find that I have strong empathy, especially when it comes to kids who are a little more introverted and not as open to meeting new friends, because I was the same exact way. And in the article titled The Importance of Empathy in the Workplace, they define empathy as the ability to put yourself into someone else's situation so they can better understand their feelings, ideas, opinions, benefiting the relationship between peers and leaders. And that really resonated with me because with my own personal experience going through normal standardized K through 12 experience, but with the assistance of an IEP, I found that my situation was a little bit more different than my regular classroom peers. So I want to give that same sort of empathy that I experienced in that school to the kids who probably don't get that as often. And with my leadership and applying that for my future organization, my strengths in leadership are motivation, problem solving, mentoring, and coaching. Now, when it comes to motivation, sorry, they're smelling the treats right now. When it comes to motivation, I really want to be able to be that role model for those future students of mine and really get them comfortable with the idea of kind of getting out of your comfort zone, getting out of the routines of day-to-day tasks, and really explore the outdoors through outdoor activities. And with outdoor activities, there's a lot of problem solving. And with my past experience, I have found that problem solving can be different for everyone, whether it be getting advice from someone else or kind of teaching them step by step on how to do something and then having them practice that with you before they do it on their own. And that sort of problem solving kind of ties into mentoring and coaching for me. With my coaching strategies, I tell them first off, step by step on how to do something. And then I have them practice that while I am watching them. And then after watching them and kind of guiding them through while they're doing it, I want them to tell me what they think the steps are. So, kind of combining problem solving with mentoring and coaching, I find that as a strength in my own leadership. And in the article titled Leadership versus Management, Are They Different? They state leaders inspire and motivate people no matter what their own status is in the organization chart. You can find good non-manager leaders at any company, but especially at companies with distributed organizational skills. Um, and with my past experience and being a lifeguard at the pool and also being a barista trainer at Starbucks currently, I found that those two leadership experiences are pretty much the same. They're not the same application, but there's a lot of mentoring. Sorry, got a little sidetracked. Um, so this quote really resonated with me in my past experiences, although uh, the different applications, they all believe in the same sort of leadership skills. And what I mean by that is by being able to be a mentor, a coach, and also a problem solver and a motivator, because these jobs are not easy to learn. Lifeguarding, you have to learn how to do CPR, first aid, water rescues, land rescues, spinal injuries, pretty much basic life support. And then as a barista and barista trainer position, you have to be that coach and mentor and new people from all different ages and all different backgrounds, and teach them how to make coffee. And let me tell you, this is not super easy to make coffee. So that's why I find myself really motivated to be in that leadership role, although I'm not anything but a barista at Starbucks. Um, and I could apply these strengths into my future career in outdoor education, like I mentioned earlier, about having children work through the problems with me or work through like how to pack a backpack for a long trip or something. And my motivations are growth opportunities and also sharing my passions. Like mentioned before, I really like to grow. Once I learn something and once I get a really good hand of it, and I feel like I could teach that, I want to be able to grow to the next step so I could keep learning as well as keep instructing children in their learning experiences in different applications. And with doing so, I also want to share those same passions that I have with hiking, climbing, and also fishing. I want to be able to show children that and teach them how they can apply that even outside of the programs and possibly use that for their future hobbies or even their future careers. Because there's a lot of careers, especially in California, um, especially in Central California, which is like a couple hours away from me. I'm in Southern California, where you have to do a lot of hiking. There's like two national parks in Central California, as well as a bunch of national forests. So that might even motivate them to go into park ranger position in their future, or do wildland firefighting, which I was going to go into before finding this sort of career path for me and this sort of schooling path as well. So in the article titled Motivation Theories, Understanding What Drives Us, they mentioned that growth or actualization motivation theories, that was really hard to say, is a category of motivational theories. That concept that motivation is the pursuit of activities that lead to growth, self-fulfillment, and self-actualization. Among the psychologists, it is generally well accepted that the higher an organism, higher is his level of motivation. So, with that sort of quote, it's basically like the science behind motivation, which I found kind of interesting. And by using this sort of quote and this sort of studies with these theories, I could apply that to prioritizing my mental health, also job satisfaction, and clear goal development. So, my role models. Um, First off, Jane Goodall. I believe we all know her. She passed away last year, sadly. But she was a huge inspiration for me when I was a kid, and even to this day. And she's an English primologist and also a conservationist. And she also found this program called Roots and Shoots. Now, with this program, it's quite literally my dream job, where you teach kids on outdoor activities, and how to do certain activities, and also be able to understand why it's so important to be a conservationist, as well as doing these activities outdoors, because it really prioritizes your mental well-being as well as nature's well-being. And this is a little quote kind of explaining about what the Roots and Shoots program is. By becoming, well, this is from the staff section, um, like the about staff section, and I found this quote super interesting. And it says, by becoming a part of our Roots and Shoots global community of educators and mentors, you'll be inspired and supported with a variety of resources to nurture the next generation of compassionate change makers and leaders with 21st century learning skills such as critical thinking, problem solving, empathy, and collaboration. Now, moving on to Bear Grylls, the reason why he's a role model to me is I grew up watching his show, Man vs. Wild. I'm sure that a lot of us have as well. And although it's very theatrical and very staged, it still has a lot of survivalist skills, that is very real and very helpful to teach kids who watch the show, just like me. And even inspired me to go into outdoor activities and outdoor hobbies, and now an outdoor career. So a little bit about him. He's an English adventurer and TV presenter, and he specializes in survivalist education, and he's also a founder of the Bear Grylls Survival Academy. And with the Bear Grylls Survival Academy, um, they basically get a group of people for a week and teach them basically what he did on his TV show, how to build fires, how to build shelters, basically how to survive in the wilderness with no outside resources or very minimal resources at all. Um, and the quote that I got is a little bit of get to know him. So Bear Grylls trained from a young age in martial arts, and he also went on to spend 3 years as a soldier in the British Special Forces. And he perfected many of the survival skills that his fans all over the world enjoy, as he puts himself against the extremes of Mother Nature. Lastly, let me see if I can move my little icon. Oh, I can't. That's okay. Lastly, is Jose Gonzalez, and Jose Gonzalez is the founder of Latino Outdoors. And what Latino Outdoors does specifically is advocates for Latino children in outdoor education as well as outdoor activities, which I personally resonated with. This is more of like a modern day role model for me, and I found him through just shopping on REI actually, and he did a collaboration with Latino Outdoors and REI to make a couple backpacks and a couple t-shirts, and I was like, I've never seen this organization before. Let's go ahead and check it out. And I checked it out, and sure enough, it really resonated with me because I myself am half Mexican. My mom is from Mexico, and I don't really see a whole lot of people who are from Latino descent or who are Latino to be in the outdoor setting. Um, and a little bit about him. It states from his website that he is a professional educator with training fields in education and conservation while engaging in different artistic endeavors, often sharing the intersection of the environment and culture. And I found that super interesting. And I could definitely apply it to my beliefs in conservation and also encouraging kids from a ton of different demographics to get into being outdoors. And with implementing empathy and advocacy, with empathy, I find myself to be a listener, interested in ideas of others, and I also ask for feedback for myself and for others. And with empathy, I find that I ask a lot of questions, open ended questions, rather than yes or no questions or rhetorical ones. Um, and I find that to be really easy to start conversations with children, especially because, as we all know, kids like to share stories. So I ask them whenever I had this experience, I ask them, like, hey, can you tell me about what happened? Can you tell me a story about what happened? Um, or tell me a story about how you feel, rather than just saying, like, how do you feel? Good or bad. Um, so I find that my empathetic skills can be implemented into advocacy and also growth opportunities. And with growth opportunities, I find myself connecting with people personally and also professionally in all walks of life, inside of work and outside of work. And also the quote from The Importance of Empathy in the Workplace from the Center for Creative Leadership. They state that the line between work and personal life are becoming increasingly blurred. Empathetic leaders understand that their team members are dynamic individuals who are shouldering personal problems while having to maintain their personal responsibilities. They recognize that it's part of their role to lead and support these team members when they need it most. And I really resonated with this quote because I have also seen that even in Starbucks or any sort of service industry, more and more coworkers are becoming intertwined with each other in their personal lives and becoming friends, um, and hanging outside of work or getting like a pizza or hot dogs or tacos if you're in San Diego after work. Um, and I find this to be a great way to network as well as to grow inside of the organization by making those connections personally as well as professionally. And with advocacy, I prioritize in building trust and also advocacy for all and also for the environment, as well as encouraging collaboration. Now, the way that I build trust with peers, with coworkers, with people outside of work, with children who I have been worked or have worked with, as well as my future children that I want to teach. Um, I really want to make sure that I build the trust for myself and also for them. I want to be able to have them trust me as well as have me trust them, especially when it comes to outdoor activities like climbing or doing a little bit more like risky stuff like building fires. And by doing so, I feel like building that trust also helps them get those social skills in order to collaborate. Um, because if they find trust in me and I introduce them to someone else who I trust, like another instructor or something, by saying like, hey, let's go ahead and move on to the next section that I Um, I would love to teach you, but I think that you could also learn from this instructor or learn better in this sort of environment rather than hands-on experiences. Um, and by making those personal connections and through building that trust, advocacy is super important to me, not only for my peers and for my future children that I'm going to be working with, but also for the environment, because if we don't have the outdoors, there is no outdoor education. So by speaking about conservation to children and also having them spread the word about conservation will really encourage collaboration and building trust and also advocacy skills in them. And my noble goals for my future career and the plans and aspirations that I have. I first want to talk about this quote that I found in an article titled How to Set Long-Term Career Goals and Why They Are Important, written by the Indeed editorial team. They state that the importance of setting long-term goals provides an individual motivation, gives focus, shows ambition to others, and aligns their actions with the end target. So I noticed that by setting goals, it really inspires me, especially with someone who has learning disability as well as ADHD. I love lists. And by making lists of very short term goals where it comes down to the hour of each day, it really keeps me motivated in achieving those goals, even if they're small. Um, and I obviously didn't want to list a huge list on this slide, but kind of summarizing on the end goal of each sort of block year or block years. In my first year, or in this time to me in a year, I want to be able to graduate and get my first bachelor's degree. And I find this super important because I have been struggling, especially in higher education and in college, on finding what I want to do. There's so many things that inspire me and that really pique my interest. And I've tried many things and have not been able to really find my true self in these sort of future careers. But I did find it in educational studies, and that's why we're here today. So I want to be able to get my first bachelor's degree within a year, and then from then on to 5 years from then, I want to be able to be established in an instructor position or even a head instructor position and grow within an organization. There is a couple of more local organizations in my area that focus on outdoor education, but there's not a whole lot, and it's really hard to grow in those sort of environments because people who really like working there are going to stay there for a very long time. Um, so that's why I wouldn't mind being able to go outside of San Diego County, and then go to like another local mountain in a different county in order to grow more. So I'm very open minded about where I end up at after getting my bachelor's degree. And then 10 years from now, I hopefully want to start my own outdoor educational program. And by starting that sort of educational program, I also want to be able to have that open mindset of going into a master's program or even getting a second bachelor's degree in business or any other sort of degree that I can apply to um, in order to assist me in going into starting my own nonprofit organization or my own private educational program. And an overall goal that I have is throughout my journey in outdoor education, I want to become an inspiration for future students through conservation and overcome any challenges faced in and out of the program that they may experience. And these are my references. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I really appreciate your time. Thank you.